Hello and welcome to my channel NBSoundHopperUK, and the subject of this video is the Sensational Alex Harvey Band albums 1972 to 1978 ranked. The Sensational Alex Harvey Band, aka SAHB, were one of the more unusual rock bands of this period. Across their albums they threw all sorts into the mix: hard rock, glam, blues, prog, funk, rock and roll, and tracks which could well have come from the 1920s, 30s or 40s. Then there were the band members. Harvey, a Glaswegian, already in his late 30s when the band formed, with his trademark black and white striped top. Guitarist Zal Clemenson, wearing a green and yellow jumpsuit and mime artist makeup. Bassist Chris Glenn in his blue jumpsuit with pants on the outside. They were visually striking, leaving cousins Ted McKenna on drums and Hugh McKenna on keyboards to bring a touch of sanity to the band's appearance. In this era, with often po-faced serious rock bands and absurd novelty groups like the Wombles, the Wurzels, or the Goodies, SAHB were like a bizarre cabaret collision of these two extremes. In this video, I'm deliberately not including the album Foreplay by SAHB without Alex. Maybe I'm being pedantic, but to my mind, if you don't have the lead character, it's not the same band. To compensate for this, I'm including their live album from 1975, live albums being ones I've excluded from previous ranking videos. Enough of the background and on to the albums. 8th is the Penthouse Tapes from March 1976. 10 tracks, 7 of which are cover versions. Do I think that's a bad thing? No, not at all. One thing that can be said about SAHB is that they put their own stamp on cover versions. Take Schools Out, for example, where Harvey, from who knows where, starts going on about not pissing in the water supply, and then Zal Clemenson adapts the original riff, giving the song quite a different feel to the original. Crazy Horses get similar treatment, and Runaway and Cheek to Cheek are good for a chuckle. Of the 3 original tracks, Jungle Jenny, an unsuccessful single from 3 years earlier, is probably the most noteworthy. The lyric demonstrates the band's humour, and what's interesting is that it was co-written by David Batchelor. Batchelor not only produced this and other SAHB albums, but was the singer in the band Tear Gas, which Zal Clemenson and Chris Glenn were both members of before the formation of SAHB. This may be last in the list, but it does have quite a few better than average moments. 7th is Rock Drill from 1978. This proved to be their final album, and it's the only one where there's a lineup change, with Tommy Eyre coming in to replace Hugh McKenna on keyboards. Eyre had been a bit of a journeyman involved with several bands in the preceding years. Side 1 is taken up by the Rock Drill Suite, which is composed of 4 parts: Rock Drill, The Dolphins, Rock and Roll and King Kong. It's an unusual track really, considering sidelong epics weren't exactly popular anymore. However, taken as individual tracks, they all have merit, with The Dolphins and Rock and Roll standing out. On side 2, there's characteristic SAHB humour on Who Murdered Sex, and with a lighter touch, Water Beastie. Nightmare City is a decent track, and Mrs. Blackhouse, the band's tribute to Mary Whitehouse, concludes the album. Boyd's, the excellent tribal-sounding instrumental opener for side 2, will be a familiar sound to anyone who's seen Killing Joke live, as it was used for their walk-on music. 6th is Live from September 1975. I'm not sure I have any other live albums where a single from it served to propel a band into the spotlight as the cover version of Delilah did for SAHB. If you discount the walk-on music of Fanfare, Justly, Skillfully, Magnanimously, there are just 6 tracks on the album. As well as Delilah, there's Faith Healer, Tomahawk Kid, Vambo, Give My Compliments to the Chef, and Framed. Vertigo, the band's label, didn't waste any time pushing this, considering it was recorded in late May 1975. All the songs from earlier studio albums are performed well, but Framed is the highlight for me, as Harvey's interaction with the audience gives the impression that you got a good night out when seeing them live. In 1975, travelling to gigs wasn't really feasible for me. I was 12, but they're a band I would love to have seen. Fifth is SAHB Stories from July 1976. Being the first album I bought by SAHB back in about 1977, it's one I have a bit of a soft spot for. Boston Tea Party, the band's second UK top 20 hit, was what drew me in. So, apart from the smash hit single, what else stands out? The cover of country singer Jerry Reed's song Amos Moses, for one, and as ever, the band give it a different kind of life. Dogs of War, one of the heavier riffed tracks on the album, with a chorus that transforms into a kind of tango. Dance to Your Daddy and Sultan's Choice compete with Dogs of War on the riffing front. $25 for a massage with barely veiled innuendo gets funky, and Sirocco gives a woozy and atmospheric change of pace with electric piano leading the way. That leaves Jungle Rub out, another David Batchelor co-written song and another fine track. Harvey temporarily left the band not long after the album was released, which explains how the SAHB Without Alex album came about. Fourth is The Impossible Dream from 1974. Separating the remaining four albums is really difficult. I think they're all great. The Impossible Dream starts in impressive fashion with Vambo and The Man in the Jar, which are the Hot City Symphony Parts 1 and 2 respectively. River of Love, Long Hair Music, Weights Made of Lead and Tomahawk Kid are all mid-tempo tracks that keep the album going in a nice groove. Sergeant Fury, a song based on the Marvel Comics character of the same name, raises the tempo and is played in a 1940s style. Money Honey is another high-tempo track that leads directly into the band's version of The Impossible Dream. Anthem is the most memorable track. The drumming and bagpipes draw upon the band's Scottish heritage. Harvey's delivery is heartfelt, and the song is more emotional than perhaps any of their others. An excellent way to round off the album. Third is Tomorrow Belongs to Me from April 1975. Adorned with stylish Art Deco sci-fi magazine-inspired artwork, Tomorrow Belongs to Me is my favourite of their album covers. As for the music, the two longer tracks, The Tale of the Giant Stone Eater and Give My Compliments to the Chef, stand out. The first is full of musical twists and turns, while Harvey reads the tale, conjuring up in my mind an alternate reality Jackanory. The second is a song of two halves, the slower half built around Hugh McKenna's keyboards, the faster half has Zal Clemenson at the forefront. The other tracks are all solid, Action Strasser, Snakebite, Shake That Thing, and the title track being my favourite of those, along with this short, less than a minute long, final track, To Be Continued. This contains another Vampo reference with the track title harking to the ending of many a Marvel comic that Harvey had probably read. Second is Next from 1973. Of the 7 tracks on Next, 5 are absolute gems, and but for the 2 that aren't, this would be my number 1. Although Swamp Snake provides a lively start, it's one of the 2 weaker tracks, along with Giddy Up a Ding Dong, first track on side 2. A jolly romp, but it pales in comparison to most of the album. Back to side 1, Swamp Snake is followed by the outrageous Gangbang, mid-tempo with effective use of horns, which is not meant as a sly pun. After that is Faith Healer. Take away SAHB's 2 chart singles, maybe their best-known track where the drums especially are recorded superbly. Second on side 2 is the title track, an insane tango version of a Jacques Brel song. As great as Faith Healer is, and maybe this is indicative of my own depravity, the magnificent sordidity of Next makes it my favourite SAHB track of all. Then comes Vambo Marble Eye with Clemenson's brilliant use of wah-wah pedal. Final track, Last of the Teenage Idols, goes from a slow start onto a fast-paced middle section and ending with doo-wop. The lyric is inspired by Harvey in the 1950s winning a competition looking for Scotland's answer to Tommy Steele. I kid you not. And first, it's Framed from 1972. The reason this is number 1 is I feel that extremely high quality is maintained throughout. The title track kicks things off, And as I suggested when referring to the live album version, the band knew how to do it justice. Hammer Song builds nicely towards a powerful ending. Midnight Moses and final track St. Anthony are both out-and-out hard rockers. Isabel Gaudi, a song in 3 parts, gives the first taste of SAHB's flair for sleazy subjects, and you don't have to wait too long for another dose, because then comes Buff's Bar Blues, which has some great piano work by Hugh McKenna. And there's more with Hole in Her Stocking, which has a bit of a honky-tonk feel. The other tracks are both covers. I Just Want to Make Love to You gathers intensity as it goes on, with the brass section towards the end providing some added punch. There's No Lights on the Christmas Tree, Mother, They're Burning Big Louie Tonight is a hilarious Prohibition-era based track about mobster Big Louie's eventual date with the electric chair. Priceless stuff. After the band called it a day, Tommy Eyre stayed in the music business, appearing on several easy listening albums. He died in 2001. Zal Clemenson joined Nazareth, Chris Glenn joined the Michael Schenker Group, and after a spell in Rory Gallagher's band, so did Ted McKenna, who died in January 2019. His cousin Hugh died later that year. As for Harvey, he recorded a couple of solo albums and died in 1982, aged 46. Mavericks like Harvey tend to be few and far between, and he had that rare quality of singing like he was living every word of the lyrics, regardless of whether they were his own or someone else's. SAHB may not have released albums reaching stratospheric heights, but they left behind a very consistent body of work. They're a band I look back on with much fondness. There are links to a song from each of the 8 albums I've spoken about in the video description. Many thanks to everyone who viewed my last video or liked it or commented on it or subscribed as a consequence of it. To say that I was gobsmacked by the numbers involved is a massive understatement. Even so, I've no right to be complacent, so details about subscribing, commenting, etc. are displayed at the end of this video. In the meantime, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching.